You ever wonder what happened to Rick and Morty?
Sometimes, but I'm ashamed to admit now that they're gone, I'm finally happy.
Rick and Morty Season 4 is in full swing, ending fans' long wait for the notoriously slow but steady Adult Swim staple. The series took a full 2 years off following Season 3, an amount of time that would be shocking to anyone who hasn't Googled the phrase, "Wait, is Venture Brothers canceled?" at least once every 6 months for the last decade. As it stands, Cartoon Network seemed to have perfected the formula for irreverent, late-night animated sitcoms that subvert broad sci-fi and superhero tropes.
How sophisticated!
And if it takes a fair bit of time to develop content of this caliber, so be it. But in case your encyclopedic knowledge of the show has gotten fuzzy in the interim, here's our roundup of the best 10 Rick and Morty episodes from the first 3 seasons. Showrunner and co-creator Dan Harmon has been dissecting story professionally for decades, and in this Season 3 episode, his penchant for meta-humor is in full effect. While our Rick and Morty complete an off-screen adventure in the lost city of Atlantis, we get a story of sacrifice, politics, and revolution set at the Citadel of Ricks, plus the awesome payoff to a loose Morty-related thread. It's a mix of sci-fi twists and sudden emotional weight that has become a signature of the show. Stephen Colbert guest starred in this Russian nesting doll of an episode about the tiny universe Rick uses to power his ship's battery, which in turn is powered by an even teensier microverse, and so on, one presumes. It's like how whole civilizations of gut bacteria are fighting, living, and dying inside of you right now. But, you know, with jokes and belching. Not to mention a very strong B story about the ship's AI trying to keep Summer safe at all costs, no matter the casualties.
Keep Summer safe.
Every sitcom eventually lets its focus drift from the title characters to see if the formula can sustain itself entirely with support characters and/or wacky one-off guests. Rick and Morty went for it a mere 5 episodes into its run, and the results were spectacular. Not only is Mr. Meeseeks one of the funniest guest entities ever to appear on the show, Look at Me,
I'm Mr. Meeseeks, look at me!
it was this episode that proved that Jerry, Beth, and Summer can carry an episode on their own. Never has shaving a few strokes off of a golf game resulted in so much wretched, torturous extension of life.
I can't take it anymore! I just want to die! We all want to die! We're Meeseeks!
Another episode that takes what would probably be a throwaway joke in any other show and instead digs in to see the concept through in thorough and delightful fashion. Pickle Rick is the one where Rick turns into a pickle. But, as with every epic tale of there and back again, it's the journey home that provides the most insight. Not to mention the most scenes of a cybernetically enhanced pickle dismembering sewer rats by shooting rusty X-Acto blades. Unapologetic gore is a part of Rick and Morty's twisted DNA, and it reaches its frenetic peak with Pickle Rick's big pickled energy.
Pickle Rick!
This episode spawned so many of the story beats that have become familiar to fans. Beth and Jerry recommitting to one another over a hot pile of horse intestines.
I wish that shotgun was my penis.
If it were, you could call me Ernest Hemingway.
I don't get it, and I don't need to.
Rick doing some super science that f***s everything up so badly that he says f*** it and uses some more super science to mulligan.
Okay, well, sometimes science is more art than science, Morty. A lot of people don't get that.
And references like calling the mutant blobs Cronenbergs to wink at film buffs. It's also the episode that ends with us, the audience, switching dimensions and watching our Rick and Morty usurp the lives of their other dimensional counterparts. And thus begins the proud R&M tradition of ending episodes by proving life is meaningless while Morty looks sad and some kick-ass music plays. The wedding of Tammy and Bird Person served as the perfect sitcom backdrop for the epic space war between Rick and the Galactic Federation.
What?
Oh, shit.
I don't get the metaphor.
I'll explain it to you later.
With moments of love, hate, squanch,
Squanch.
peace, crime, and squanch.
Squanch.
The wedding squanchers squanched us all to squanch our hearts, and somehow managed to fulfill the obligations of both a sci-fi serial and a family sitcom at the same damn time. Plus, any episode where Rick actually summons a scrap of humanity immediately gets bonus points on the Richter scale of audience impact. See what I did there? Although the episode would stand well enough on its own A-plot, which features Flight of the Conchords' Jermaine Clement as a David Bowie-esque troubadour alien named Fart, what makes Morty Night Run so special are a couple B-plot details that have become unquestionably classic Rick and Morty moments. There's the interdimensional daycare center where Ricks park their unaccompanied Jerrys, the ruthless bounty hunter Crumbopulous Michael, and perhaps most importantly, an arcade called Blips and Chips, with a little VR game known simply as Roy.
Holy shit! This guy's taking Roy off the grid! This guy doesn't have a social security number for Roy!
An ode to Justin Roiland's impressive improvisational skills, this is the episode that first introduced interdimensional cable and this summer's hotly anticipated action blockbuster, Two Brothers. It's just called Two Brothers, you guys. And Too Often Lost in the Shuffle is a legitimately decent parable about some magic glasses and Jerry and Beth's roads less traveled in life.
But let's get back to the brothers because they have a strong bond. You don't want to know about it here, but I'll tell you one thing. The moon, it comes crashing into Earth, and what do you do then? It's two brothers and they're gonna, it's called Two Brothers. Two Brothers. It's just called Two Brothers.
This installment explores the, let's be honest, natural end result of having a hive mind as a lover. It perfectly encapsulates what Rick and Morty brings to the table. Tight, clever sci-fi plotting applied to the sort of human-centered storylines that any family sitcom would tackle. In this case, Rick and his ex Unity rediscover exactly why they didn't work as a couple, an emotional roller coaster that takes Rick even closer to suicide than usual. Featuring Christina Hendricks as literally billions of people.
Oh, that was awesome!
Our #1 episode stands for everything that makes Rick and Morty great. Not only is it a healthy mix of family dynamics and sci-fi plot twists, it features a slew of fan-favorite side characters and veers wildly between ridiculous, dark, bloody hilarity and real stakes as the family grapple with the idea of no longer being able to trust their own memories. Luckily, Mr. Poopy Butthole has been with us from the pilot and can explain everything.
Ooh-wee! Is something wrong, Beth? Oh my God! Oh!
Wait, but
Oh, Beth, why?
I need an ambulance. There's been a shooting. My wife shot. My wife shot a longtime family friend.
No! Anyway, that's our list. Which classic Rick and Morty episodes did we forget? What's your favorite Rick and Morty moment? Let us know down in the comments. And for more Rick and Morty news, reviews, and general fandom, keep it locked to IGN.
Hoo-wee, what a cliffhanger. Oh boy, oh my. That's a real crazy ending, huh?